again, it's impossible to know. They keep stats on in terms of who's arrested and what happens.
Sure.
But, unless you monitored it, which is impossible.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just like trying to monitor ISIS recruiting potential terrorists online. I mean, it can be done to a certain extent, but it's impossible to monitor all the Twitter and the Kik and the Instagram and the Snapchat and everything else that's out there. And again, it goes back to when we started this, we had 2 platforms. Now, there are dozens of platforms.
Well, that brings us to Hansen versus Predator.
Exactly.
The new project. I love this. Now, you've taken this on yourself now.
We started talking to a lot of different production companies and digital companies and broadcasts about doing another series because I think the time is coming. The question I'm asked most on social media is, when are you going to do another Predator? People say, well, we're signing a petition to get you to do another Predator show. And I think because of exactly. And the only reason we didn't do new episodes anymore was because we did a lot of them. They re-aired very successfully, updated and expanded. And, it was really time to work on some other projects. But now the technology has changed. The landscape has changed so much that I think it's important to go back out there. So we met with a lot of different people, and at the end of the day, we decided the smartest way to do it was to let the people who really want to see it be involved in the production. And that's why we decided to do crowdsourcing and Kickstarter. So,
and that's how you're going to bring this to the people again.
Part of how we do it, but it's been very interesting for me to go through the process. I mean, obviously we've got branded sponsors, who are being a part of it. For instance, LexisNexis Security Solutions is a big partner in this, but we're letting people get involved.
Yeah,
and it's really amazing to see how many people are involved from all walks of life, whether it's a police officer or somebody who's been victimized or somebody who's in the television industry who wants to see it back again. So the goal is to bring it back, do the first investigation, initially broadcast segments digitally. So we're talking to some digital networks about that, and then repackage it for traditional broadcast. And that's what we're going to do.
What do you think about, like you said, the landscape now, the explosion of social media? Does it make it easier or harder to catch these guys and get them involved in a situation that we had seen on the previous?
Well, I think it's going to be honestly easier because there's so many different ways, so many places to monitor. So where we had 2 places before. I mean, in one sense, it's going to be sort of a challenge because you got to monitor different places. In the other sense, it's just a bigger pool to fish from, quite honestly. And so, I mean, you go to Craigslist. I mean, and Craigslist has been very cooperative with law enforcement. But you think about this, on any given day, internationally, there are 60 billion posts.
BVEZ871.
Now, how many people do you think work for Craigslist monitoring that? How many?
Not 60 billion.
44. Now, again, this is
44 people.
This is, I mean, they may have more. I mean, the last time I looked at it, that's about what it was. And this is no rap on Craigslist. I mean, people find jobs, people get apartments, people do a lot of things on Craigslist. But there's also a lot of risk out there if you're not careful. And, I was giving a speech in Las Vegas last week, and, they're gearing up for the big boxing match. And the speech was about human trafficking. And I said, as we speak,
BVEZ871.
there are thousands of young women being trafficked into Las Vegas for sex.
Oh, man.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Underage and of age. But that's part of the human trafficking system here.
Where are these people coming from? Like that are trafficking and the trafficked women? Overseas?
It's a combination. There are some who are brought in overseas. The group I was speaking to was a group of flight attendants, the FAA, and a subset of that is a group called Airline Ambassadors, and I sit on the board of this group, and basically they train flight attendants to recognize human trafficking, whether it's Russians being smuggled in, not really smuggled because they're hiding in plain sight,
right?
But you've got a young woman who speaks no English, who's with a guy who is controlling, and and they're going to Chicago. Why are you going to Chicago? To be an entertainer. Well, how are you going to entertain when you don't speak the language? That's a sign of human trafficking.
Right.
And it happens here. It happens at truck stops. It happens, all